and how important that is. And I love that, she mentioned to me that, at this time in her life, many people are retiring, and yet here she is starting a whole new career path. It's so exciting. So I'd love to ask you, what kind of led you on this path of this sexuality work?
I was pretty clear that accessing energy and accessing it and through pleasure was a path to healing. And I had enough stuck places in my body that I wanted to heal. And I have a very keen sense of how energy and how somatic illnesses are really manifestations of something that happened in our past. And so the concept of using pleasure as a way to bridge the pain and to integrate it was very intriguing to me, and it just made sense. So it was just one of those instances where I heard something and I knew it to be true. And I have only been it's only been verified in the work that I've been doing through the SLRC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just for those of you that don't know, when we refer to the SLRC, we're talking about the coaching program that we're doing. That's a 600-hour sex, love, and relationship program through the Tantric Institute of Integrated Sexuality. So it's really been in depth and really pretty transformational. So I'd love to ask you too. I know that as with a lot of us, there's things that happen in our lives that maybe lead us to kind of change course. And if you are open to this, I would love to kind of hear a little bit of your story.
Sure.
You're open to sharing that.
I don't know that it's so much of a change of course as it is getting in a new vehicle to go onto the course. Mm-hmm. And using the skills and the tools to ground my work and to elevate it at the same time. And I had been working with Layla Martin through Jade Egg and Oak Bliss for several years, and she had announced she was going to start this program, and it just right away it struck me, and that was in October of 2015, and I was already at that point doing volunteer work for Bernie Sanders, and then in the winter I started texting for Bernie, and that was a really fabulous opportunity. And what it really showed me was the importance of listening, because when you're texting somebody, sometimes you don't know what their sex is. Sometimes you have absolutely no idea how old they are. You just have a name and a phone number and a message, and they respond to your message. And what I was often doing in hearing what their response is, what do they want to know, and how to best respond to them. So I texted almost 60,000 people in initial texts and had conversations with 22,000 people all across this country. And I can tell you that there's a lot of amazing people out there. A lot of people are waking up, and I have a real passion to see people wake up, because we're at a very critical time, I feel, both in how our consciousness is rising and the understanding of what our political system and how it works and how corrupt it is and how abusive it is to the average person. And the work that I'm doing in SLRC is showing me that we can all thrive. And that's what I want. I want to see a country, a planet, and a world where people can thrive. And so that's what I hope to bring into my work as I work with people individually or in groups.
That's beautiful. And I love how you mentioned that, you have such a passion for helping people create transformation, especially, people that are really working towards political change and really involved. And how you mentioned that people are starting to wake up. I like how you phrase that, and I do. So that is such an important thing, especially in this day and age. And I'd like to just kind of talk a little bit more about this in the political realm, because as there's some crazy things going on out there in the world right now, and I would love to hear, your thoughts on how sexuality and helping people connect to that can change our, what's happening with the leaders around us.
Well, what I feel is that we're in a major imbalance. The young energy, the male, typically male energy, is the energy that has dominated our paradigm for hundreds of years, and that is why we're seeing the gross inequalities that we have, that we're seeing the amount of violence that we're seeing a real disconnect, because what that energy has done is it's taken all of us out of our bodies, out of our inner knowledge, out of our ability to really connect. And that when we bring back balance, when we help the feminine to be seen as a really important aspect, but also as we help people to understand their own masculine and feminine, as we bring balance within each individual, there will be greater balance in the world. And as we bring balance into the world, then we'll see a reset of what has been an image that people that bring to mind is we're on the Titanic and we hit the iceberg, and how are we going to possibly survive what the collapse of our political institutions, the collapse of the planet, and we have to right the course. We have to do something to keep us from really just sinking. Those are my thoughts. And you asked me about the leaders. Personally, I really want to work with leaders to help them understand how they can thrive, how they can connect to the body, and how much knowledge they have. And part of the reason that I really want to do this is because our healthcare system is a wreck. I mean, right now there's all this conversation. I mean, it's insane about what we're talking about. There's a part of me that feels like, well, geez, if people don't have insurance, then they can choose what sort of healthcare they want, and maybe they'll choose working with me or with you or with any of our sisters as a way of really trying to work. And it would cost them less money than buying health insurance, and maybe even be more effective. So now if I'm going to look at this debacle of a healthcare bill, then maybe there is a golden lining out of it. But what I would prefer, what I would like to see, is that we create a system that gives medical care for all, Medicare for all, and that we honor this sort of work, because this sort of work is really effective. And just pharmaceuticals and how they dominate the whole discussion around health insurance and health care, that's a problem. That's a really serious problem that we need to look at. And I want the leaders to be looking at that as well.
I think that's so important. And it's interesting because my husband was actually recently just at a conference called the Consumer Health Summit. And it's kind of where a lot of the leading people that, are directed to consumer with healthcare get together. And one of the things that I thought was fascinating that is really coming to the forefront now is recognizing the power of working with energy and also with trauma release, and how important those two things are, which is something that we are doing. Yeah. And I think it's so important that you mentioned that, that kind of getting people the opportunity to take things into their own hands and try to, find help from within as well. Mm-hmm. Which kind of seems like kind of an out there, theory to some. However, it makes so much sense when you think about how smart our bodies are, and how in this culture we're not taught to really deal with things that happen to us. We just kind of hold them in. And then that can cause so many issues in our bodies and our health.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and there are some pioneers in these fields, in the medical fields, Dr. Peter Levine and Ruth Brzezinski, and there are others. There was a woman who I was listening to yesterday whose name I've forgotten, but she does EMDR, which is in the eyes as a way of helping people that have trauma in their lives, PTSD and such, and that again, it's really recognizing the wisdom that the body has and the ability for the body to heal without chemicals and without the reliance on years and years and years and years and years and years of therapy. Now, I don't want to put therapy down. I've been to therapy and I appreciate its importance, but I don't know that it's fully addressing what we really need to be addressing when we're addressing both our emotional health and our physical health, because they are entwined. And if the medical field is only really addressing the physical body and the mental health is only affecting emotions, there's a disconnect there, and we are whole human beings, and we need to address our whatever issues as a whole.
Yeah, it's so important.
Yeah.
I wanted to touch back on something you said a minute ago too. You were mentioning how people kind of really need to tap into both energies within them, both the yin and the yang, the masculine and the feminine. Obviously, we all have both. And so, what would be? Do you have kind of maybe one simple tip that you could give people to kind of really what that means for them in their bodies and how they could identify that?
Well, a simple tip would be hard. I have a visual image, and the visual image is of the yin yang, the Tai Chi symbol, and that in the white there's a dot of black, and in the black there's a dot of white, and together they all make up a whole. We don't have one without the other ever, and that it's really important to approach everything with the understanding that each really needs to be there. That if we approach a situation with a lot of softness, really listening, and just really, welcoming what is in, if you're more in a yin state, you still have to meet that energy with the yang. You have to come together with it. And that's, you can't just be soft and floppy. There has to be that dot of yang in there. And so we, as much as we can become conscious of it, certainly for me, having done some of the work that we did in SLRC, I've been able to really come to know more of the importance of the masculine in my life. And funny enough, for me, the masculine is in my hands, and I feel so much with my hands. So for me, having just identified a place in my body where the masculine is, whenever I touch something, it's like, oh, that's information that's coming through my masculine side. So that's pretty awesome. That's what works for me. I don't know what's going to work for you or somebody else. Could be something else. But fun is part of the fun.
Yeah, I love the way that you describe that. And how they're both so important. Like you have to have that dot. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
So one other thing I wanted to ask you, because I thought this was another really powerful thing that you mentioned, is really getting these leaders to kind of get more embodied.
Mm.
And can you talk to that a little more? What you mean by that?
Well, what I see in the political realm is a lot of shadows. There's a lot of shadows out there that are working all the time. And I would love to work with Nina Turner and Tulsi Gabbard and Cornel West and Jane Sanders and all those people that are working in the Sanders Institute, the people that are really thinking about how to be progressive, and to help them recognize the shadows, both that are coming at them from outside and their own shadows, so that they have the skills and the tools to get out of the way of these things, to take care of themselves and not expect others to do it, to become individuals that are empowered to further their goals. And these are the people whose goals I'm aligned with, and those are the people who I would love to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to hear, if you are open to sharing this, like what your vision is, like how ideally would you love to see the world right now? Like if you could have your magic wand and let this work do what it needs to do, I would just love to hear your vision.
I would love to see people feel happy and to walk through their lives. You know, the majority of people. I would love for whomever is engaged in a sexual relation to find enormous pleasure out of it. I mean, imagine a world where men and women, or men and men, or women and women, whoever is having sex is feeling fulfilled and satisfied with that encounter, with those connections. And that when we have a space where people are feeling they can be connected, that they are whole, that they can thrive, everything will shimmer and shine, and there will be so much more ease and grace in the world, instead of so much strife and violence and just horrible things that we see today. That to turn that over and to, I don't know, here's an example. Yesterday I went out to lunch, or to breakfast, with a woman who is in the end stages of her life. And I went with another friend. And we got there, and these two people from the table immediately got up to help her out of the car. And the woman that was working in the restaurant outside was incredibly kind. And then as we got back to go into the car, the man got up to help this woman also make the transition into the car. Nobody asked anything. There was just a feeling of love that was so palatable in the air in those moments. And it just felt magical. That's what I want. I want people to be coming from a place of love, coming from a place of fulfillment, and coming from a place of deep connection with each other, and with the plants, and with the animals, so that everybody can thrive.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I just love I like to get out there because it is so powerful. Like the little things that we do. I mean, it's so important for the world, even though in the big picture we think, oh, the political world is a mess and how can I help? And it's those little things. It doesn't take much. And I say this quote all the time because I love it. The Mother Teresa, if you want to save the world, go home and love your family. Yeah. Because it's so true in those little moments, like the little connections that you make, that is what is going to create the ripple effect. So just doing, connecting to love. What can you do to be more connected to yourself, to the world? And yeah, that's so powerful.
Yeah, exactly.
Yay. Well, I just have to say, I just love talking with you, Bari. Thank you so much. And so Bari is going to, she will be having an online presence soon, and I will share that information with you. But I also want to let you know that if you have any questions, or if anything has come up that you want to discuss further, please do post in the comments, and we will get back to you. If we, we'll keep checking, and if you have any questions, please do ask, because this is such an important conversation. And just know that you can easily get involved and easily, change the world with little things.
Yes. Thank you, Amanda. And thank you so much for this opportunity to be in this interview with you. It means so much to me. I'm humbled by it, and thank you.
Thank you. I'm so grateful that you agreed to do it, and hopefully we will talk again very soon.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much.
All right, everyone, have a great day, and we will see you every Tuesday at 9:30 Mountain Standard Time. Enjoy your day.
Bye.